about you, but I was just like planning out my week the other day and I looked at the calendar and realized it's almost October, which means it's almost the last quarter of the year. Now, when this goes out, it actually will be October. So if you're watching this, then it already is the last quarter of the year. But I was just so blown away that, like, first of all, the year went that quickly. Frankly, I still feel like we're in 2020. I think it's just the whole like pandemic still happening. Things are still weird. So I just feel like we haven't even gotten to a new year yet. And it's almost 2022. Seriously, I looked at my husband and I was like, oh my gracious, we have like Disney and then my birthday and then Thanksgiving and then it's Christmas and then it's 2022. And he was like, well, there's some stuff in between there. And I was like, yes, but like it's so close. So if you just looked at the calendar and you were like, oh, hey, it's almost the end of the year, there's not actually that much time left, and maybe you're not where you want to be as far as your business goes, then you're in the right place, because we're going to be talking about how you can use this last quarter of the year to really crush your goals. And first thing I want you to know is that it is entirely possible. Honestly, a lot of companies and a lot of people do really, really well in the last quarter because they realize, oh no, hey, it's almost the end of the year and I'm not where I wanted to be. And so the first step is realizing that, and the second step would be watching this video. So you're like already on track, you're already getting there. So you're on track, don't stress out first and foremost. In this video, we're going to be talking about both like the goal side, kind of going through your goals and figuring out what you're going to do, what you should be doing, and all of that kind of stuff. And then we'll also talk more specifically about things in Q4 that can help you in your business, because I'm assuming you're watching this because one of your goals is to move your business forward, make more money, you know, do all of those kind of things that we want to do in our businesses. So if that is the case, then that'll be the second part of this video, and I'll do the timestamps below so that you can skip to whatever you need to see. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, as we're entering Q4, I want you to think back to the goals you set at the beginning of the year. Now, if you didn't set any goals, then that's okay. We'll make some now. But if you did set some goals, I want you to look back at those, look at them, think about them, think, am I on track to hitting them? Am I anywhere close? Am I totally somewhere else? Am I way higher? Am I way lower? Like, what is going on? Because honestly, in January, you probably don't know what's going to be happening in October. And so even though you can make goals at the beginning of the year, you don't really know what's happening until you get a little bit closer. So the first thing you need to do is just find them, you know, go in the drawers, figure out what they are, if they're relevant at all, and then see if you're on track to meeting them or not. And also see if you actually care about them or not, because you might, one, not be anywhere near them. You might be doing way better or way worse. Number two, you might decide that you just don't care. There were some things that I had planned for this year that I either decided like I don't care about that, or other things are more important. So I'm gonna kind of put that on the shelf and we'll revisit it later. And that's fine. If you have things like that where you're like, this isn't super important, I'm gonna revisit it later, that's totally fine. Just make sure that you look at that and you're aware of that and you're doing it intentionally. We're very big on this channel about living intentionally and really having an intention for your life so that your life doesn't just happen. You are actually like going out and making what you want happen. So adjust any of those annual goals that you need if you need to, or, you know, see if you're on track for hitting them, and just kind of like have that little goal setting powwow with yourself. After that, I want you to really look at that calendar, and like I mentioned, my rest of the year is like, we're going to Disney, it's my birthday, it's Thanksgiving, and we're going to Disney again. Woo. And then it's gonna be like Christmas, and then it's the end of the year. So I know that there's a lot going on in Q4, and you probably have the same thing. So the next step is actually gonna be to look at Q4, figuring out how many weeks you have that you'll actually be able to dedicate time to. So like, I'm a music teacher, so hopefully my choir is gonna be able to do concerts in December. And hopefully my choir that I sing with will also get to do choirs in December. And I know I'm very busy in December. So if I have, you know, like rehearsal, concert, I'm probably not gonna get a lot of work done. And because I know that ahead of time, I can look at that week and be like, okay, nothing's happening that week, or very little is happening that week. And so I know that I don't need to schedule that. I don't need to count that as a week that's gonna work. Instead, I need to look at those weeks that I actually will be able to work, that I actually will have the time, and really approach it that way and make sure that I have, you know, the time before I do anything else to actually hit any of the goals that I want to hit. So once I know like how much time I have to work, then I will know what all I can accomplish in set amount of time. Because if you have, you know, between now and the end of the year, if you have 6 weeks of workable time, great. If you have 12 weeks of workable time, great. If you have 8 weeks of workable time, that's fine, but those are all different and you can get very different amounts of things done. Also think like, are you gonna want to work over like the holidays? Are you gonna wanna work over Thanksgiving? Like just think those things through. There's not a wrong answer. Just be aware of them so that you don't get there and then be like, oh, I have all this stuff I was gonna do. And then either do it and be miserable or don't do it and then be like guilty and behind and all that. So just be aware of all of these things. After you figure out actually how much how much usable time you have, then you want to actually think like, okay, what am I going to do? So take those annual goals, if you set them, if you care about them at all, take them, adjust them, figure out how much you can accomplish between now and the end of the year. With this, I really want you to focus on things that you can do. So it's really easy to go and say like, oh, I want to make this much amount of money. And that's great. And I do that. I have money goals, 100% I do. However, there's not like a button you can press that's gonna like bring out all the money unless you're in Vegas and really lucky, I guess. But in business, like there's nothing, you can't directly make the money come. So sometimes, especially if you're newer, you don't know what the money will be and you don't have a good way of calculating it. And we'll talk a little bit more about this later and kind of how you can guesstimate. But the real truth of it is that you don't know for sure. Like that's not something that you can super control. So instead, I want you to focus on things that you can control. So if you want to earn more money or a set amount of money, then how many products do you need to make? How many videos do you need to make promoting those products? How many reels do you need to make promoting those products? You know, all of those things. Think through, what can I do to either create more products, so create more money that way, or create more traffic to my store, or what can I do to help my conversion rate so that people who are landing on my products are actually purchasing them? Think through those things and make actual tangible goals that you can set and things that you can do. I want them to be like projects, things that you can check off and be like, yes, I did that, or no, I did not do that. Once you have those set, then you're gonna break them down. And I want you to kind of think through either monthly or weekly, kind of depending on your strategy. So my personal strategy is usually each month I have like, this is what I'm working on for this month. And then throughout the week, I have, you know, the breakdown of if I'm working on this really big product line, then this week I need to, you know, make the template for the product line and I need to make maybe the first set of them so that I know what I'm doing. And then the second week, maybe I make the other sets of them. And then the third week I add in all the links and I add in this and I add this and all of those things. So think through like, what are you actually going to do each week or each month? So you might decide, you know, each month I want to make 4 products. Okay, this month, then you're gonna break it down into that. So I literally have in my bullet journal, I have a page, like I have a spread that says Q4 planning, and then it has each month with what I need to do each month in order to achieve my personal goals of how many products I wanna have and how much money I do wanna make, because I, you know, I do have those goals. I do think they're good. I just think they're harder to track. I just think they're harder to manifest, especially if you're new, because they're not, you know, again, you're not directly doing things. So I want you to focus on things that you can do, that you can actually check off, things that you can work on in order to help your store. So setting each of those checkpoints is going to be the game changer. And with those checkpoints, actually have like something you can literally check off. So maybe you just have a checklist of like all of the steps in whatever you need to get done or all the products you want to make, and then you can check them off as you go. But have something where you can actually check it off. You can say, yes, I did that, or no, I didn't do that. So you can see if you're on track. The main reason is because if you are aware of whether or not you're on track, then you are able to then go and adjust accordingly. And it's not a surprise when you get to the end of the year whether or not you hit your goals. Now, since it is the end of the year, with all of these things that you're going to do, you're going to need a lot of focus. Now, I mentioned it is Q4, so it's the end of the year. There's a lot of stuff going on. So I'm not saying you have to work all of the time, but I am saying you need to be very focused on what you want to accomplish and when you're going to get that done. And it might involve some extra work time, especially if you didn't put in as much work time this year as maybe you wanted to. There will be some time that you need to make up now. A really great book. By the way, if you're looking more into this like goal setting, first of all, drop your comments down below because I would love to do more goal setting videos, especially as we head into the new year. But number 2 is definitely pick up this book. It's called The 12-Week Year. And if you're looking to make this quarter the best quarter, this is definitely the book for you. So in this book, they talk about strategies to, they literally say like get as much done in 12 weeks as most people get done in a year. And it's all about setting really focused, really specific goals, having all those checkpoints, all of those good things, and just really looking at ways that you can be focused, ways that you can cut down on anything unnecessary so that you can focus on what is necessary. And it really goes deep, and it's like a step-by-step process. Super quick read, highly recommend. I will link it down below. There's also a workbook, so I will also link the workbook down below if you're more of a workbook kind of person. You can like write all up in it. So you can check those out down below. All right, so now let's talk about a couple of things that you can do that are actually specific to like in quarter 4, things that you can do that might help your Teachers Pay Teacher store make more money, because I'm assuming that's probably one of your main goals for your business this year, because that's what businesses are for. So let's talk about those things. Number 1, consider making seasonal products and or seasonal content. So the thing about quarter 4 is that it has so many holidays. There's fall, and like fall's a big deal, and there's pumpkins everywhere and everyone's excited and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then you have Halloween, which not everyone celebrates, but it's still, you know, a fun thing, especially if teachers like Halloween. And then you have in November, there is Thanksgiving here in the US, which is a really big deal. And so we're, you know, thinking about being grateful, thinking more about pumpkins, you know, all of those kind of things. And then after Thanksgiving, we have Hanukkah, we have Christmas, and we have Kwanzaa, and all of those things happening. And it is just like holiday, 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 holiday. Take advantage of all of that holidayness and see if you can make some holiday resources. Now, I know, I feel like I've gotten a bad reputation for saying not to do holiday resources, but my main concern with holiday / seasonal resources is when you make them like the day before the holiday, because then it doesn't give time for people to buy them. So I love seasonal resources. I love holiday resources, but I love it when you make them early enough that people can actually purchase them and they can actually make you money this year, so that it wasn't a huge waste of your time. So think about maybe making some seasonal products. If you're watching this in October, then maybe a fall product, maybe not. I prefer, like, I'm doing a bunch of fall products that should be out end of September, early October. And then, you know, and then after that we have, again, Thanksgiving, we have Christmas, we have all those things. So think through holiday products that you could potentially make, especially if there's some that you could make that are kind of like a spin on something you already have. So if you have a product and you can like make it into a snowman activity or make it into a pumpkin themed activity, look for those kind of things that you can easily switch up without like a huge thing, and then see if you can, you know, make those happen. And again, plan those out now so that you can get them out early. My general rule of thumb is I try to get out any products for holidays about a month ahead, depending on what it is. So like if it's, you know, fall, then personally I consider like September or early October to be fine times to post fall things, which means I need to make them before that, because fall lasts until, you know, basically the end of November. I know technically it's into December, but no one thinks it's fall in December. If I'm looking at like Thanksgiving things, and then my goal is going to be to get any Thanksgiving stuff out the very end of October or beginning of November. And then with any like Christmas resources, ideally I would say still in November, but like at the very least beginning of December. And be aware that in December, schools in the US are typically off for like 2 weeks at the end. So that's 2 weeks that people will not be buying resources, which is something you have to bear in mind when you're thinking about, you know, products, because people have to have time to plan. So consider having seasonal products or seasonal content. I consider having seasonal products. Seasonal products do really well if you do them right. And so I actually really like seasonal products. I love seasonal products. I just don't like them when you don't have time for them to actually sell. That's what makes my heart sad, when you post things like the day before and I'm like, no. But if you post them now, then you have plenty of time for them to gain some traction and to get out there and all of that stuff. Seasonal content also does really well. One of the most viewed videos on my YouTube channel this year was all about Irish music, which I intentionally put out at the beginning of March, because in March we have St. Patrick's Day, which is, you know, he's the patron saint of Ireland. And so like that was one of the most viewed videos on my Becca's Music Room channel this year, because so many people were looking for Irish music lessons during March because they were, you know, celebrating St. Patrick's Day. So those kind of things can do really well. So think about, you know, what are some Halloween activities you could share? What are some Christmas resources you could share? What are some Hanukkah resources you can share? All of those kind of things. Just think about them now so that you can go ahead and get them in the works and get them going. Number two, with all of this, focus on the data. Like I said, we have to be very, very focused in Q4 because there's not a lot of time. So you really want to focus on what is actually going to make you money. We call those things here on this channel our needle moving tactics. So think of the needle in the speedometer of your car. When you hit the gas, it goes up. We want those things that are going to make your car go faster. We want your business to go faster. We want them to move up. So you want those needle moving tactics. I have a whole video about how to figure out your needle moving tactics, so I will link that down below. But basically you want to look at your data and see like, okay, what is currently driving traffic? How can I drive more traffic? What products are selling? How can I sell more, or how can I make similar products that are going to sell just as well? What is working? What is not working? How can I do more of what is working and less of what is not working? Look at those things, look at your data, be focused, because there's not a lot of time to waste if you're trying to hit goals this year. Number three, my little tip for end of the year is to plan out any potential giveaways or promotions. I wanted to throw this out there because a lot of people do giveaways in like the Thanksgiving time or in the, you know, holiday season in December. And so if you're going to do those things, that's great. I would go ahead and plan them out now so that you have them well thought out, they're finished, they're kind of ready to go, you know they're coming, versus it being like an afterthought and you're like, oh hey, I could do a giveaway, that would be cool. Plan them out ahead of time so you know they're coming and you have good ideas. When you actually take the time to sit down and plan them ahead of time, you will actually get more out of them because you will have thought them through better. So sit down and think about any giveaways or any promotions, like what you want to promote. So like what products are you promoting this year? I like to sit down about monthly and I'll think about that. I'm like, okay, you know, we're about to go into October because I'm filming this in September. So I'm like, okay, we're going into October. What products do I want to promote that are, you know, October relevant, and then what products do I want to like start thinking about promoting for November, and then I can kind of, you know, get a gauge on what I need to be pinning, what I need to be posting on Instagram, all of those kind of things, because I have a plan. I actually looked through like a list of like my fall and Halloween resources today and realized that I had like all these things that I totally forgot that I had. And so now I'm like, oh great, you know, we need to talk about this resource, we need to talk about this resource. And so I need to know that I am promoting those things. And if there's a timeline, like if it is a Halloween resource, I need to promote them before Halloween so that people have time to use them. So I need to like think those things through. I literally am going to be like, because of the holidays are just so like crazy town, I'm literally printing out a calendar and writing in like, this week I need to talk about this resource, and this week I need to talk about this blog post, this week I need, you know, those kind of things, so that I remember that I need to tell people about them so that they are aware. And you know, and same with like, I'm going to be having a video about Halloween lessons, and I'm doing that specifically so that I can talk about all of the Halloween resources I have, Halloween activities that I have, and hopefully capitalize on some traffic that is going on, because again, seasonal content, it's timely. So that means it's not always timely. It's not going to be great, you know, people aren't going to be watching it in March, but it can be really good for a boost if you get it, you know, the right activity at the right time. And the last thing I want to say is the same thing I already said, and that is start early. If you're watching this when it comes out, now is the time to plan like the rest of the quarter. Figure out, you know, what products you want to make for any of the holidays in the, you know, rest of the quarter. If you want to do any seasonal research, you totally don't have to. But if you want to, make sure you're planning those out now. If you're not going to do those, what other products are you making? What videos are you making? What blog posts are you making? You know, what improvements are you going to make? What are you going to learn? I always try, when are you going to learn? Learning is so important, especially to business owners, which is you, by the way. So think through like, what are things you want to focus on? I try to pick something every, you know, quarter or every few months that I'll switch up and really like dive deep into one thing at a time. So like for a long time I was working on that like audience building. This year has been like the year of diving deep into finances. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you know I've been reading all the books on money. I've been listening to all the podcasts on money and just really trying to like dive deep and get that. And I still have more on my list. So I think we'll continue with that trend. And then I have more, you know, I have other categories that I kind of want to get into later on as I feel like ready to move out of this. But think about what you want to learn. Do you want to work on social media? Do you want to work on making your products prettier? You know, maybe you do some, you know, maybe you read maybe you watch some videos that are all about like interior design, and that's going to help you make things prettier, or digital design, or how to make things in, or, you know, even focusing on something like focusing on painting, and then that'll help with your eye and you can learn things that you can then apply on your products. Or, you know, if you want to work better, or if you want to get better at social media, like what are you going to do in order to help you get better at social media? So think through things that you want to learn, think through things you want to post, think through all the things. Make a plan. And then the most important part, and what sometimes people forget to do, is execute the plan. It's not enough to just make the plan. You actually have to take the plan and then do it. And so this is a huge fallacy I see. It's like if people start planning, they get like too caught up in the planning and then they don't do it, or they don't plan at all and they just go for it, and kind of they're both bad because both ways you're just kind of winging it. But instead what you want to do is like have a plan and then execute the plan, so that you actually are checking off all the things and doing the things that you plan to do, because like you plan them for a reason. So do them. Anyway, friends, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful. If so, hit the little, make sure you hit the subscribe button, because we have a video all about seasonal products coming soon and you don't want to miss that. So hit the subscribe button and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Mm-hmm.